We light this chalice to honor our work, to celebrate our community, and to bring hope and determination to our mission in the wider world. We would if we had any non-spent matches. I'm going to ask Joe to find us some more matches, and then we'll... Oh, here we go. There we go. So now we light our chalice for all of those reasons. And like those many reasons for lighting our chalice, we also have come here perhaps with many reasons, with the intention of joining a community where we can laugh and join and have celebration together, perhaps chances to sit in repose and a bit of sorrow and shed a few tears. We've perhaps come looking for a few words of wisdom. I hope they'll be heard, as well as a chance to connect with one another and simply resting with the divine. Whatever it is that's brought you here, whatever reason you have for lighting your chalice today, I hope you will find it. And I hope you'll find a warm community, of course, which I know is the case because I know all of you and you're lovely people. So thank you and welcome. And thank you as well to those who joined us online. Today's service finishes with communion. I'll have a few words sort of and notices about that for those that haven't known or attended a Unitarian communion before. It is open to everyone, but it's not required of anyone. So if you wish to participate, you're more than welcome. If you wish to remain and observe, that's welcome as well. And if you simply want to go for the tea and coffee, which growing up in the U.S. as a UU was called Unitarian Communion sometimes, you're welcome to do that as well. So we had those words of Crystal Hogan to light our chalice, and we turn now to the French writer Antoine de Saint-Exupéry for our call to worship. In a house which becomes a home, one hands down and another takes up the heritage of mind and heart, laughter and tears, musings and deeds. Love, like a carefully loaded ship, crosses the gulf between the generations. And let us join together, bridging our generations by singing hymn number 65 in the Purple Book, Ruth Duck's How Good It Is, What Pleasure Comes. Hymn number 65. Let us turn to a time of prayer. This is followed by our covenant, which is printed in your order of worship and will appear online. But first, these words.
In our gathering here today, may we find what we seek. For those who seek comfort, may they find empathy. For those who seek truth, may they find understanding. For those who seek friendship, may they greet the person at their side. And for those who seek God, may they feel the divine presence within and amongst us all. In our seeking, may we leave our separateness and be drawn into this community. May our empathy and our understanding, our friendship and our connection to the divine be from and of the same source. May this fountainhead cleanse us of harsh words, those we have heard and those we have spoken, misinformation that we have come across and that we have shared, and cold shoulders, those that we have sought and those that we have given. May we always follow this course, knowing its brightness and goodness. Amen. And please read with me our covenant. We gather here in sacred fellowship to witness the fullness of our lives and all life, to hold and be held, tell stories and to listen, to be renewed and renewed the world. We speak with care and patience. We act with gentleness and compassion. We forgive each other and ourselves. In faith that we build beloved community, we renew our covenant today. Amen. Our first reading is by the Reverend Eric Martinez Presley. It's entitled Found While Lost, and it's a bit of a short homily in and of itself, drawing upon some words of Simone Weil. The beauty of the world is the mouth of a labyrinth, writes Simone Weil. We would be foolish not to follow its call. And so we enter the labyrinth, lured by the whiff of a dream still in the making, the possibility of a new relationship, the promise of a new career, the potential for a new beginning. We can never be sure what we will find once inside, but this much is certain. There will be times when the beauty of the world, and with it the entrance to the labyrinth, unexpectedly disappears. Some relationships will disintegrate, some careers will dissatisfy, some beginnings will disappoint. Unable to find the labyrinth's opening, we often find ourselves in frantic search of an escape, fumbling for the steps, tiring ourselves out in the process. Disheartened, dispirited, disoriented, we get lost. The question is not whether we will get lost in life, but rather how we will move through it in faith. Will we dwell on everything that we have lost, or will we focus instead on everything that we have yet to find? As it happens, there is much that awaits us in our lostness, much to be excavated, examined, even exalted. In not knowing what will be, we are afforded the opportunity to appreciate what already is, the things hiding in plain sight. A frayed relationship, for example, may reveal our deeper needs. An unfulfilling career may motivate us to seek out a mentor. A misstart or a misstep may remind us of our own fragile humanity. It may claw open our hearts and sensitize us to the suffering of others. When lost, perhaps the greatest question often faith asks of us is this: how will we be found? Once the time is right, the stars align and the way begins to open, will we be ready to embrace the mystery anew? Will we choose to trust anew, to risk anew, to hope anew? Will we allow ourselves to yet again be drawn in, swept up, taken over by that magic that makes life worth living? In the words of Simone Weil, for if we do not lose courage, if we go on walking, it is absolutely certain that we will finally arrive at the center of the labyrinth. And there, God is waiting. Found while lost by the Reverend Eric Martinez Presley. So you now have a chance to share your joys and sorrows, your trials, as well as your triumphs. And if you want to share these publicly, please come forward and light a candle. If you have a few words to say, come to the microphone, so those who are listening online, those who are using the loop system will be able to hear you. If you are online, please type into the chat box and we will read your message out. You're, of course, invited to light the candle in silence if you so wish. And as always, if you prefer to hold your life in your heart, know that your presence here is enough. So I'm going to I'll light one candle with two purposes today. One is for Thomas, who was unwell this week. He's doing much better. He had just a little bit of a tummy bug Wednesday evening, but that just seemed to affect 24 hours, and he's been a can of beans since then. So, much thankful for his recovery. And then the candle as well of care and support for Kate and Aid, Reverend Kate Brady McKenna, who's the minister in Bury. I lit a candle last week because Aid had gone to hospital under quite dire and severe circumstances. They're not out of the woods. I'm not sure how far out of the woods they will be, but we are grateful that Aid is home and that he can be cared for and receive the support of her, that she receives as well support from her congregation. And we send her and Aid our love.
I heard yesterday from a great friend of Robin's and mine who lives in Athens with her husband. They are Greek. We've known them for years and years and years. And Maria told me that they are coping with the diagnosis for Manthos of terminal brain cancer. So I am sending lots of light and love to them both.
I light my candle in memory of my dear wife, Leslie.
Our second reading comes from Fern Feldman, entitled The Darkness Before Creation. Some say they want to embrace the dark when they mean embrace the grief, anger, and suffering in the world and be present with it rather than denying, ignoring, or hating it. But that is not the aspect of sacred dark that interests me most. What interests me is how in darkness all separation dissolves into oneness. Darkness is depths, cave, womb, soil that sprouts seeds, soothing shade, nighttime during which we dream, we grow, and we make long-term memory. Darkness can be source, essence, innermost being, transcendence, embodiment, nothingness and emptiness, and mystery. Darkness is often associated with the earth for a number of reasons. The sky can be dark or light, but the earth has no light of its own except the molten core that shows its fiery light when it erupts. Under the surface of the earth, of course, it is always dark. So too, we find that darkness is associated with depths, while light is associated with the heights. The dark of the womb and the common association between women and earth are aspects of a metaphorical connection between women and the dark. European colonialism and white supremacy have been invested in associating dark skin and dark hair with negative metaphors of darkness. When we discount the power of darkness, we devalue all one might associate with it: dark skin, women, and the earth. Audre Lorde explains it thusly: these places of possibility within ourselves are dark because they are ancient and hidden. They have survived and grown strong through darkness. Within these deep places, each one of us holds an incredible reserve of creativity and power, of unexamined and unrecorded emotion and feeling. The women's place of power within each of us is neither white nor surface. It is dark, it is ancient, and it is deep. It is essential to be aware of these places of possibility Lorde describes. We need the holiness and the liberating power of deepening into the dark. And this particular historical moment requires of us the dismantling of the negative, dualist metaphors of blackness and darkness, both for the sake of justice and for the sake of the life of the planet. The Darkness Before Creation by Fern Feldman, in quoting Audre Lorde. Let us return now to a time of prayer with these words of Annie Dillard. At a certain point, you say to the woods, to the sea, to the mountain, and to the world, now I am ready. Now I will stop and be wholly attentive. You empty yourself and wait, listening. After a time, you hear it. Nothing. There is nothing there. There is nothing but those things only, those created objects, discrete, growing or holding or swaying, being rained on or raining, held, flooding or ebbing, standing or spread. You feel the world's word as a tension, a hum, a single chorused note everywhere the same. And this is it. This hum is the silence. The silence is all there is. It is the Alpha and the Omega. It is God's brooding over the face of the waters. It is the blended note of the 10,000 things, the wine of wings. You take a step in the right direction to pray to this silence, and even to address the prayer to world. Distinctions blur. Quit your tents. Pray without ceasing. Amen. So let us now enter into a period of silence for reflection, meditation, contemplation, and personal prayer. We turn now to our next hymn, Andrew Pratt's O Source of Many Cultures, in the Purple Book, number 119, O Source of Many Cultures. I recall a few years ago reading an article by New York journalist Patrick Hipp on generational demarcations, specifically on the period from the late 70s to the early 80s. This is a cusp between what's usually called the Generation X, Gen X's, and Millennials. The boundary line is important, for within a few years of either way, one finds themselves either included amongst the brooding countercultural grunge aficionados or the foolishly optimistic techno wizards. Having been born in this period, I cannot lay claim to either title and would prefer some other term. Especially as I should say, as I'm getting aged out of this sort of category of techno wizards. I'm always in awe of the further generations that seem to have a bit of a one-upsman on what I had considered sort of a proficiency for myself. Anyway, Patrick Hipp's article seeks to point out the fallacy of this narrow-minded thinking. An incredible shift in thinking in economics and culture occurred at this time, and some people learned to engage both with the older forms of communication as well as new modes. Strangely enough, the term that I would prefer has been coined by the evangelistic Baptist minister Thomas Rayner, and he used the title, The Bridger Connection. They bridge pessimism with optimism, bridge a slow development of technology with the outburst of the internet. And I should add that this is not a provocation to generational warfare. Firstly, as individuals, we have no obligation to behave like our peers, and secondly, I disavow any condescending language that diminishes the capacities of any generation. Going back to Socrates, when he criticized the younger generation for using this awful thing called the written word. The ease and simplicity of placing people in one generation or another is the tripping point of humans. As Ruskin noted, some things cannot be expressed, cannot be marked out by words, and this is not due to a deficiency in the English language, but it's rather the hazards of language itself. Language can separate, can mark out, it can build up walls of definition and exclusion, and life sometimes breaks away from this. Although I don't have a record player at the moment, I do still have a modest collection of records. I would hasten to point out that I see this as a hallmark of my being and not a form of millennial hipsterism. Has anyone ever seen a close-up of a photograph of a record? It's like an alien landscape, these deep grooves and pits, but there's as much as we look at one sort of from a, when we're holding it, if we look at it up close, there's no regularity to it. There's no consistency to the grooves. The smooth lines that we see with our eyes are quickly obscured underneath the microscope. One imagines that the deeper one pierces the image, the further the uniqueness of each cleft will display. Each nuance is able to be captured. This is unlike a CD or a DVD, which is created in what is called binary, meaning a signal is either off or on. There's no middle ground and no wavering. Now, CDs and DVDs are advanced enough that to the human ear there's no difference. But you can still zoom in close enough to see the ons and the offs that produce music, image files, nearly anything that a machine can read. And like generations, like CDs and DVDs, we often think in binaries. However, this is not a result of technology. Humanity has always had difficulty breaking away from the them or us, or the evil or good paradox. It makes a complex world easier to understand if we have a catalog ready-made for our assumptions. And in this way, we often want to play the generation game. Knowing when someone was born, it is easy to make drastic assumptions about their character, their interests, their worldview, amongst others. But life is more. It's infinitely more complex. Two people born in the same day, perhaps even in the same hospital, will have drastically different upbringings, resulting in a wide range of personalities, worldviews, and interests. This misjudgment of the world extends beyond those in different generations. Our words as well either fall to one side or another of a spectrum, or when they encapsulate both, they are taken to mean the extreme of both. Awe, as in a sense of awe, is strongly connected to both a sense of fear and admiration, not some middle element, but an either or. I often think of the two words awesome and awful, one being full of awe and the other having some awe. Similarly, taboo, as well, is a term that embraces two extremes. Very often it's used with social injunctions. We cannot discuss that, it would be taboo. Although used primarily to silence discussion on matters deemed harmful to society, the term is more expansive and can mean silence around matters that are too pure, too perfect, or too divine for human use. In this way, the taboo is related to the sacred and the holy, that which is set apart, perhaps holy and pure, and thus whose state cannot be dirtied by our interaction as lowly humans. Altars that cannot be approached, incantations that must not be said. These words and places are set apart from the rest of the world, such as the Kaaba in Mecca and the Holy of Holies in ancient Jerusalem. And it is here where the irony becomes clear. I wish not to say the name of the article, which includes a swear word, though note the service itself is about approaching the taboo, the unsaid. The sacredness of the place, the vulgarity of the word, present to me a block, constructed I do not know from society, my own mind, or some spiritual law, but a block, nevertheless, to engagement in that direction. There are some ways around taboo topics. One can simply say the word whispering like this and hope that no harm is done. One can employ euphemism, good words, so we can pretend that our dignity is kept intact. Though perhaps this is a little inauthentic, walking on eggshells or skirting around an issue, but no offense is caused, so where's the harm? Even religion has its euphemisms. Orthodox Jews wish to abstain from saying the name of God outside of prayer. Even honorifics such as Adonai, meaning Lord, are considered too sacred to be uttered. So instead they employ alterations. Adonai becomes Adashem, Elohim becomes Elohim. This may feel foreign to some, but remember, for many, this is a matter of life and death. Not just that, but even life and life everlasting, life beyond death. The recognition of a holy or of a sacredness should give us pause. Do we have something in our lives that is so important that we become very earnest about it very quickly? When do we become offended? I was raised at a time when we were expected to wear our Sunday best, for instance. This is no judgment on how any of us are dressed today. Just want to get that out there right now. But this acted as a way to affirm that separateness of Sunday. In a way, it is not dissimilar to the Jewish practice of substitution in their language or the ritual purifications that Muslims make before engaging in rites such as the Hajj. Many Unitarians disavow the belief of a single period in history where God entered the earth, that is, through Jesus exclusively. To say that God existed in the world at that time implies an absence elsewhere. For many, they feel a presence of a divine nature, and therefore draw upon the idea of a continuing revelation in which we can take a part, in which we can have a say. If this is the case, is there a place for the holy in your Unitarianism, in something that is set apart? Were we to approach it, we would draw a sense of awe, fear perhaps, but also excitement and joy. Somewhere that when we enter with our best selves. What can we find in life that fulfills this remit? What is the unpronounceable name for us? For myself, the future is the contender. At every point in life, we enter another day of unknowing, not knowing what will pass by our lives, not knowing truly if the course that we have set out on will come to fruition, not knowing if the detour we have taken will serve our end, or if in our traveling we will aid someone else. So the future, for me, serves as that mysterious unknown. Each stage in our life, although we receive the training and advice from those older than ourselves, will still be an unknown. That our life might constantly be preparation for the next day can feel terrifying. But if we give ourselves to trust, another term that I use sometimes instead of faith, to trust past generations in the knowledge that they impart, to trust the world that its challenges will not be too much for us to bear, to trust ourselves that we are stronger than we think. This trust will shift terror to joy, fear to excitement. And if we hope to approach the future without this fear or pain, it is best that we arm ourselves with virtues. The expression pure or purifying may feel too close to orthodoxy for some. But if we can acknowledge that the future holds the potential of a great transformation, we may reconsider that this will only happen if we approach it honestly, with as much authenticity as we can muster. For the future will not lie to us. Place trust in the future, for to live from day to day is to continually enter the sacred. We may fear it or wait expectantly, and each day as you awake, you can remind yourself that you are entering the sacred. Amen. A few notices before we sing our final hymn. We have Faith in Life in a couple of weeks, the 21st, after the service, after the tea and coffee at 12:30, so do join us for that if you're interested. It's a group that, it's a small group that meets usually here in the chapel, where people can explore their lives with a bit more sort of spiritual depth than, the regular worship allows. It's a close-knit, loving community, a supportive community. So that's the 21st at 12:30. We have as well our Friday lunchtime recital will be the 26th, featuring Crescenduo, which is Claudia Gallardo on violin and Prajna Indrawati on piano. All our recitals are free, but we are grateful for donations which go to the artists to recognize their time, talent, and energy. Please do volunteer as well. We're always grateful for people to assist with reading, greeting, providing flowers, assisting with the IT. How's the IT been today? Thank you, Alvin. And helping out with the tea and coffee. Do we have someone to help with the tea and coffee? Thank you, Joe. There's a couple sign-up sheets. I've sent around an email for the Gaskell tour visit, but we haven't had much pickup through the email, so I printed out copies as well. My apologies if you were on the good side and came early, you might not have gotten this little inset. We are hoping to visit the Gaskell house some point. I was going to say in the near future, either this summer or more likely the autumn, but we need to know days that people are available so we can find the best time for going. So please do fill that out either online or in person. We also have, again, online or in person, a sign-up sheet for our Pride March, so do join us for that. That is the 24th of August. The chapel will be open from 10 o'clock. We will likely be heading out to Castlefield around 11:30 or so, and then after the march, we come back here for a shared meal. So do let us know if you're able to join us for that. It's something that we try to encourage the whole district to get involved with. So I'm hoping that we'll have pickup from other chapels as well. So that's, again, the 24th of August. Are there any announcements from the congregation? Yes, Joe. Thank you. Yes, Saturday the 24th. So if you show up on, we'd love to see you Sunday as well. Chapel will be open at 10 o'clock on Sunday the 25th. but Saturday the 24th is the Pride March. We're also grateful for any contributions that you can make financially to the chapel. You can donate online at justgiving.com/Cross Street Chapel Manchester, or you can give to the retirement collection here in person. And there's envelopes if you're a UK taxpayer. Let us then sing our final hymn in the Purple Book, number 56, God Who Stretched the Spangled Heavens, by Catherine Cameron, hymn number 56. Thank you, Aaron, for that fantastic music. Thank you, Alvin, for the IT. Thank you, Joe, for the tea and coffee we're about to enjoy. Thank you, Sonia, for these beautiful flowers and for greeting.
If you are staying for the communion, if you're staying and taking part in communion, please come to the very front row. If you are just observing, you can sit in the subsequent rows. And if you're going for the tea and coffee, you may go to that. Thank you to everyone for creating and sharing worship today. We close with the words of Don Buckle. As we leave this sanctuary, may the holy music linger in our ears. May the poetry of the spoken words stay in our minds. May our spirits remain uplifted, and may our lives be blessed.